Good morning, Harris Academy. My name's Mr. Doherty and I'm joined by my co-presenter,
Mr. Rickenberg.
and we are here for our weekly ramble of jogging around the world. And this is our penultimate episode before Christmas, is that right?
Absolutely, yeah. Second to last one before Christmas.
So we are going to do one on Wednesday morning.
Yeah, we'll upload it still on for the Friday.
Yeah.
A little Christmas present.
So that would be a lovely little bit of Christmas watching for you and the family out there, guys. Yeah. So how are you today, sir?
Week 7. I think this is the penultimate week as well, and I think everyone feels it. Mr. Sani said...
Even Mr. Sani was yawning yesterday.
He said, I've been tired for the last week, so I don't even know what to call this, is the words that he said yesterday. But I think we all feel the same. It's been pretty hefty this week. I think everyone's been feeling it, which is why these wonderful things are coming in really handy.
So yeah, I'm all right. Yeah, I'm okay. I feel I'll be all right tonight when we finish. We have got our geography Christmas party tonight, haven't we? Me, you, Miss Duffy and Miss Rouse, because Miss Sheldon can't make it. No,
do you know where Mr. Max is going?
He's gone to Newcastle to watch football.
Yeah, he's gone to Newcastle.
Yeah, I'm okay. Tired. I'm very tired. Good morning to our producer, Ava. How are you today?
I'm good today.
How are you feeling? Are you tired, Ava?
I'm very tired.
We are all very tired. It's dark, even near enough outside, but we're getting there anyway. Okay, so start with our usual tradition of what are you drinking today?
Said to you, I thought we'd try something new today, so we've gone for a caramel macchiato from Starbucks. I'm feeling like they've changed the recipe a little bit there, so I think they put more sugar in it.
It does that one taste sweeter than
Yeah,
normal?
it's like rocket fuel though. What you got the same thing, sir?
Same thing, caramel macchiato from Starbucks, but there are other brands available.
Love to see that.
And Ava, what are you drinking this morning?
Oasis summer fruits.
Yes.
Lovely. So Mr. Rickenberger actually got you a drink, unlike me
my
last
round
week.
and unreliable.
But we won't
So
bring that
that's
up.
not-
We won't bring that up. Right. Okay. So let's get cracking. What's next on our agenda then?
Shoutouts.
Oh, so who are we shouting out today?
First shout out has to go to Mr. Kimball, sir.
Right. Yes, it definitely does.
What day was it? Tuesday?
It was Tuesday. Yeah, it
Has that
was.
week been that long?
Yeah, it was Tuesday. It feels like that. Yeah, it was Tuesday. And what did Mr. Kimball do to deserve this shout out?
Mr. Kimball organised an orchestra. I think it was like the Royal Philharmonic Orchestra or something like that. We need to check this because we can't not give him the credit he deserves. But we had all of these big instruments, all this lovely orchestra come into our Forest Hall and put on a hell of a show.
Yeah, I thought at first it might be like a student orchestra, you know, like the one we had at the Harris Fed Day. But when I walked in, I was like, oh no, I saw some of them. I pulled one of them up for a red lanyard. He was going to the toilet, yeah. It was like they were professional orchestra, weren't they?
And it was so good.
It was brilliant. What a way to spend period 4.
Yeah, the first half period 4. And then it was obviously absolutely pandemonium when you get back to the classroom.
Yeah, because the kids were just it was wicked. I thought it was so good. So yeah, Mr. Kimball, you deserve a massive shout. Apparently he's been organising that for quite some time.
Yeah, because he had Harris Mayflower over, he had the primary next door over as well to do pretty much the same thing. And then year sevens.
Right, amazing. So what an experience. And that's like real cultural capital for our kids to be able to watch something like that in such close quarters as well. I thought it was brilliant. I thought it was absolutely amazing. So well done, Mr. Kimball. Who's next?
Year 10 and 13 mocks.
Right, this is good because Ava's included in this.
So Ava's part of the shout out.
Just want to shout out the year 13s first of all.
Yeah.
Who did pretty good in their mocks. I was happy with that. Some of the papers quite tough. Some of the questions are quite tough.
Yeah.
We've got some work to do, but we did get ourselves an A-star, sir, in the mocks. But it's just to see whether we can keep that momentum running up to the next round of mocks, where they're sitting all 3 papers, including the 2.5 hour behemoth of paper 3. So we just got to see if they're nice, they're ready to keep that momentum going forward. And the year 10s who sat their first Key Stage 4 GCSE paper. Yeah. To, I would say, some success as well, so I was quite happy.
Yeah, I'm about to start marking mine, so I'm looking forward to seeing how you get on.
You got the big job of 2 classes, didn't you?
It'll be right. I'm looking forward to it. We'll see how you got on, Ava. Fingers crossed you've done well. It's a good job you've got a good geography teacher, Ava, isn't it?
So you've not done it yet?
Oh, I was ill.
She needs to
so
be more part of the
lucky then we didn't go through any of the questions.
Yeah.
Because we could have really shot ourselves in the foot there. So you can't mark all of them over the weekend, sir. Because
I'm one short. I'll save yours till next week, Ava. Last day of term.
Christmas Day, after dinner.
Okay, so who have we got next on the shout out? So that's year 10, year 13. Well done for their mocks. I like it. Last one?
Rumen and Darcy.
This is a hell of a job they did for us on Monday, sir. They did. What did they do? They come in to staff briefing in front of 70, 80, if not 100 members of staff, and spoke wonderfully about why they picked geography. And even though they didn't mention the
I
podcast,
couldn't believe it. I was sat there
even
thinking,
though I told Ruben to mention the podcast, but they were a bit nervous, they were shaky up there. Of course they were.
And it is such a nerve-wracking thing to do first thing on a Monday, and you stand in front of all your teachers, all the other members of staff. Like if I had to stand up in briefing, it'd make me nervous. So massive credit to them. We'll let you off for not mentioning the podcast.
Yeah, but we know that that's what, when they were saying all the other words, that's what they meant.
They meant jogging around the world.
Yeah.
Why did you pick GCSE geography? Jogging around the world.
Right. Speaking about jogging around the world, podcast itself, Spotify. We're not mentioning where we are at the moment.
Go
on. New countries. I think I mentioned Ecuador. In Mexico.
Really?
With there was another one, and also now Switzerland. So we're not now just in the EDCs. We're now at we're clearly that sophisticated that people in the most developed country in the world are still learning something from us.
That's amazing. So even these super highly educated people are watching or listening to Jogging Around the World. Don't forget we are on YouTube.
Yeah, I think that's where everyone. I think there's more. Don't forget we're still on Spotify.
Yeah, but our numbers do love flatlining, don't they?
But that's the thing. You start off, everyone loves it. You just got to keep promoting it.
Gotta
It's
keep
mock
going,
season. When we get to mock season, they bounce up.
They do. Okay, so what are we talking about today, Ava? What is our agenda?
Migration.
So we did physical last week, didn't we? Because we did global atmospheric circulation.
Yeah.
Good human topic this week.
Yeah, this one doesn't really, I wouldn't say really apply to any individual topic other than A level.
No.
I don't think migration is its own topic in Key Stage 3 or Key Stage 4, but it's something that filters through.
It does. It makes an appearance all the time, doesn't it? And it's just something that I think is just really important to the world of geography.
So I'm going to ask you this time, sir. How would we define what migration is?
Migration is the movement of people from one place to another.
Yeah, so crucially one place to another,
yeah,
not one country to another, because we'd have to mark it wrong if you said that.
Yeah, so it's movement of people from one place to another, so that can be from one town to the next, from one part of the UK to the other part, and then across borders.
Yeah, and then you get the annoying question, so if I go from L20 to L21, is that migration? The answer's, theoretically, yes.
Yeah, you're moving from one place to another.
Stop being so annoying with those questions.
No, it's like, come on, let's think about it realistically. If you move from one part of the country to the other, you've migrated.
I'm going to give you just some of the questions first of all, just to clear up some of the terminology we're going to be using. Yeah. What do you call it when someone leaves a country? What are they?
Are emigrating.
You are emigrating. You are exiting a country.
Emigration, exiting.
Yes, and if you're entering a country,
you are immigrating.
So what would you be? You would be
An advert came up. An advert came up.
That's right, we can talk over it, it's fine. Then we need those. I think this is what makes everyone know that we're not professional.
No, and we do this in one take. Carry on.
Immigration, so if you going into another country, you are an immigrant.
Yeah.
Now, I think it's important just to reflect on that word.
Yeah.
Because it is a word that has negative connotations now.
Yeah.
But geographically, if you enter another country legally, you are an immigrant.
Yeah.
Only when you do something like you come in without the official means, you are then an illegal immigrant, and that is the only time when that word is a bad word.
Yeah.
But immigrant, thanks to but the word immigrant and immigration, thanks to the UK media, now is very negative.
Yeah, this is the thing. People have moved always. Humans have moved around the world. This is the thing. That is why it is frustrating from a geographical point of view that it has these negative connotations.
It's unusual for us to stay put.
No, we were hunter-gatherers, weren't we? So we literally couldn't stay put.
Yeah, we were nomads.
Yeah, so it frustrates me for the idea of it to be have negative connotations to it, and we live in a country that is based on immigration.
I was saying to the year 11s, we're doing something similar. We're doing something about the influence of different cultures on the UK. I was like, you'd be hard pressed if someone did that ancestry thing to say it was just 100% British. It just wouldn't happen.
Except my family did do it. My uncle did it, and he was praying that he would be, he wanted to come from somewhere exotic around the world, and it was like 98% Ireland. It was so funny.
But that's the thing, that Irish people have got that ancestry of the Celts and stuff like that, haven't they? But we, in the UK, we haven't. Right. If you come from a place that is war-torn and you haven't proved that you can't go back, what are you called then?
An asylum seeker.
An asylum seeker. As soon as your claim for asylum has been accepted, what do you turn into?
A refugee.
A refugee. I only need the mastermind music here, so you're on
form. I'm on fire.
Okay, what about... Okay, what about if you've got more immigrants than immigrants, what do you call that in a country?
More immigrants than immigrants. Net migration.
Net migration, and if you've got more,
which links back to the net migration of the UK last week, which we mentioned. Are we at what 700,000 a year?
700,000. And then when I googled it earlier, it's because we've opened up more visas for Ukrainians, and we've opened up more visas for people from Hong Kong as well.
Right. Okay.
So then that's increased the rate. Right. So migration. We've gone through the key statistics.
So quickly do them. Quickly do key terms. Quickly do them again.
Right. Immigration, moving into a place, a new place. Emigration, exiting a place.
Yeah.
An asylum seeker is someone who has entered a country with claims that it's not safe for them to return.
Yeah.
So they are seeking asylum, they're seeking safety. And then as soon as their claim for asylum is accepted, they become a refugee.
Yeah.
If your country is experiencing net migration, they have more immigration than emigration. And if your country is experiencing more emigration than immigration, you are at net loss.
Net loss. Yeah.
So the main point of this is just look at some of the positives and the negatives of migration. So
Okay.
I'll start off with some of the positives.
Yeah.
And one of the positives is that you get new businesses opening up.
Yeah.
And those businesses then generate income for a country's GDP.
Superb.
So we look at places like the UK. If you go down a typical high street in a densely populated area, you'll see that there'll be Polish supermarkets, there'll be sort of like Asian supermarkets, there'll be Caribbean supermarkets, all these businesses open up. All these businesses are getting taxed by the government, so all that money is then, and even when they're selling things, that income generated is going into the economy of the UK.
Yeah, and it also provides jobs for.
Of course, it
people.
provides jobs as well.
So positive is business.
Yeah, another positive is diversity.
Yeah.
Some people may disagree that diversity is a good thing, but historically it's always been a good thing because you've got the new spread of ideas.
Yeah.
New spread of ideas, new food, new ways of dress and things like that. The UK is a leader in fashion, and because we are so diverse, a lot of the big fashion trends that come out of the UK and go across the world are actually influenced by other cultures as well, which is, I think, personally really nice.
Yeah.
Education gets better.
Yes.
Even though some places where they have loads and loads of immigrants, sometimes the schools can be oversubscribed, but every classroom that has a migrant student in there, a student that English is not their first language, the whole class apparently tends to get better results because of that. Because the teacher may have to then explain things a little bit more simply or speak clearer, so the person whose English isn't their first language can understand it. So then everyone then benefits from it.
And they're also gaining just more knowledge from being around different types of people. You know, it's amazing when you talk about in our classes and we talk about, you know, has anyone been to this country? Has anyone from here? You know, the amount of hands that go up and the diverse range of people in the classroom is brilliant.
I looked at something really interesting yesterday. I was looking at the migration, I was looking at the ethnic diversity statistics for the UK, right? Only when you get, so from 0 to 45, white British is the lowest ethnicity in the whole of the UK. Right? So from the ages, I think it's of 4 to 10, or 0 to 10, 15% of people who are 0 to 10 years old in the UK are mixed race.
Wow.
And it's only like 3 or 4% white British.
Wow, that's amazing.
And as soon as you get to the older people, then white British is sky high and the rest of them are really low. But in like, I reckon, this will scare some people, in about 100 to 150 years, I reckon a British person, we won't say white British anymore, it'll be mixed British, because I reckon in 100, 200 years or so, I wouldn't say the classic, but you know what I mean, the average British person, I think is going to be mixed race.
Wow, amazing.
How
It's
it's
really
moving around.
interesting. It's really, really interesting. Okay, so they're the positives.
Positives.
So, quick recap. Positives are business, business thrives, job
Economies tend to
opportunities,
grow.
boost the economy. Education improves due to teachers, maybe if you've got kids with English as an additional language, having to really think about how they explain things. Also, like the common knowledge of different experiences in the classroom boosts attainment. And what else did we say?
Increased diversity.
And just an increase in diversity, which comes with that is clothes, food.
Yeah, and what do we say?
Music. If you look at music and food and you know me and food, so it's amazing. Imagine if we didn't have those cultures coming here and
and what they say, there's a fundamental British value of something. It's of it's like tolerance.
Tolerance.
And I think one of the only reasons why we are so tolerant in British society is because of how diverse we are.
Yeah, just naturally tolerant. So, brilliant. Okay, so then negatives.
Right, this is where we've got to tread carefully.
But we have to tread carefully. But there are positives and negatives too. We have to. This is a geographical conversation that we're having here. We're not having, there are negatives to migration, because sometimes if you have an issue with illegal migration, for example, it's unregulated, it's not safe. Yeah, because people are coming to the UK and risking their lives to get here, we do see a lot of fatalities, unfortunately, don't we? It's just dangerous.
Yeah, I think the most, do you know where the most migrant fatalities are in the world? Mediterranean, and it is so much more than anywhere else.
Oh, it's insane.
It's scary.
And that, I don't know if we spoke about it on the podcast, and I don't know if we were doing it by then, but that big boat that sank off the Med, remember, it just wasn't fit for purpose, and you saw the photos of how many people were crammed onto this they call it like an old fishing vessel. Even the sound of it, you're like, it's just, and the Mediterranean's so deep, isn't it? And
it's interesting to see how the countries that surround it are just going, we don't know who's responsible for this. Because one country's not going to go, I'm responsible for the whole Mediterranean Sea. So then it's sort of, then it becomes interesting of whose waters they're in and stuff like that. Is it the place where they're coming from who's responsible? Is it the place where they're going to responsible? It's an interesting debate. And
so then also we could say it can put a strain, heavy migration or large amounts of migration can put a strain on resources.
And services as well.
Services and resources, which then I think the strain on resources is what leads then to racial tension. Because that's what causes it, isn't it? As soon as something bad starts happening, often that's where the blame is pointed towards, being like, people come into our country, there isn't enough space, there isn't enough resources, and people who live there sometimes get quite frustrated. Which I think is what's happening in Dublin at the minute, isn't it?
And I think you can put some blame on that, and of course it makes sense, but you can put blame on some of that onto governments. Because if migrants coming in and they have had their asylum claim accepted, what tends to happen is they tend to get moved to the most deprived areas, right? Because that's where the housing's cheapest and things like that. So then they go to these places, the migrants go to these places, get jobs in those places. When there's loads of other people there, because it's deprived, they can't get those jobs. So of course there's going to be some tensions there. And to them it's going to look like migrants have come over here, they've taken our jobs, which of course technically is right. If they've taken a job, then a British person can't take it. But they're going to places, so if you look at places that maybe vote Brexit the most, they also tend to be some of the most deprived places. And it's because the migrants are going to these places because they're being told to go there. They're making a life for themselves, and it's upsetting the people. And and I can absolutely sympathise with that viewpoint, I think.
And also, but what we also have to remember is migrants often come and take low skilled jobs, don't they? Often that's there's a mix, isn't there? Often migrants come and take low skilled jobs, but they also come highly educated and partake in high skilled jobs.
I was watching a YouTube video about the jobs in a restaurant. There was like 48 jobs in a restaurant, and most of the people that are working sort of like front of house in this open kitchen, most of them were, it was an American program. Most of them were Americans, but the people that were like cracking the oysters open, and the people that were bringing the veg in, and the people that were prepping all that, they were all migrants. They were all, in this case, they were Mexican people, and they weren't speaking English. They were speaking Spanish. So even in like a job like this, or a job like any sort of establishment, it's the people who are the population of the host country that are taking the tertiary jobs, and then it's the migrants in some cases that are taking the primary and the secondary jobs.
Interesting. Right. Okay. So, and then one more negative could be of migration, I think, is the term brain drain. So where highly skilled migrants may flee a country due to war, and then what that means is the country that they originate from are left without skilled workers, which could lead to economic decline.
And also it could lead to any sort of decline, because if you think of brain drain, your skilled workers, they could be your teachers, for example. They could be your doctors, for example. So if there's then a lack of skilled teachers, literacy rates might start going down. If there's a lack of doctors, then the life expectancies might go down. And then overall, with a lack of skilled workers, you can't give the low skilled workers the high skilled jobs because they're not trained to do it. So then average wage starts falling because there's no one taking these highest paid jobs.
Interesting. It's so complex, isn't it?
I could genuinely talk about this all
day. We need to check what time are we on, Ava?
19 minutes.
No, we can get through the rest of it.
So is that us done for migration?
I think that's us done for migration.
Just the positives and negatives.
I think sometimes it's good not to just focus on proper exam content.
Just to have a little conversation about it. And then one last quick thing then. So why do people migrate?
People migrate
because
for
there's a whole
all
host
sorts
of
reasons. Conflict.
Big one. That's a big one, isn't it? Fleeing war. And how can you blame anyone for being like, well,
Exactly.
see you later?
And when the problem that people say is that they're coming to the UK when they could go through like France and all these European countries as well. But if I know, I'd rather go to a place that speaks English than a place that doesn't.
Yeah, and also Germany take more migrants than we do.
Yeah.
Don't they? So
Yeah.
Germany take the most in Europe, don't they?
Germany take the most in Europe, and then the USA. I think the numbers are ridiculous. The USA is like 45 million migrants they take.
Yeah, USA takes a massive amount. Right, okay, yeah, so fleeing war, conflict, war and conflict, same thing. Persecution.
Yeah.
Yeah, any other reasons?
Just economic reasons. They're moving for better life or a perceived better quality of life, better jobs. Could be even worse. Persecution could be trafficking.
Yes.
Could be moving because of that. It's more likely to be illegal. And also more migration's happening because more women and children are now moving. They're becoming emancipated, they're becoming free, and they are now able to be part of the migrant stock moving around the world.
That's a really interesting one that we look at in A-level, isn't it? The role of like women has changed in society, which allows women that freedom of movement rather than having traditional family values. Brilliant. Okay, so do we need to do a quick recap? I think we're okay.
I think we're okay.
We've done that, didn't we, a couple of times. Brilliant. That was really interesting. What is next, Ava?
The news.
Oh, so what have we got?
The COP28 new agreement.
Yes, so brilliantly, COP28 in Qatar, which is a place that obviously will experience climate change and global warming, but also you could argue one of the smaller countries that are probably contributing the most to digging up all that oil. But yeah, they come to an agreement 24 hours after the COP, so it's the Conference of the Parties. It is a UN thing. It's the UN, I think it's UNPCC, which is the United Nations Protocol on the Convention of Climate Change. Come on.
Nice, well done.
And they meet every year, and we've had some of the biggest agreements in climate history. We've had the Kyoto Protocol in 1998, then we've had the Paris Agreement in 2015, and then they come to the Glasgow and agreed absolutely nothing. And then the fact that there's been 98 of them, and I'm naming 3 significant agreements, or 2 significant agreements, is, I think, says it all. Maybe not the most effective place, but the idea is all of these countries come together and they agree things on climate. This time round, they agreed, I think, to reduce. There was a lot more talk about phasing out, but then countries that maybe, so a country like Venezuela, for example, it gets most of its money from oil exports. Because it's somewhat tropical, it doesn't get sun.
Right.
So the amount of money the amount of energy they get from the oil and the amount of money they get from exports from oil then just completely disappears because they can't do solar, they can't do wind, because then they don't have enough capacity, so then they have to buy it in. So it's really tricky to get agreements on this. A place like Australia, who exports mostly coal, can phase it out because they've got the outback and they can stick a load of solar panels up. Right? So really interesting. Their agreement was 24 hours afterwards, and the agreement was again pretty much a load of nothing. More talking about how we slow down the use of fossil fuels rather than phasing them out.
That's what was really interesting. They were talking a lot about on the radio where they actually didn't agree to stop using them. It was like we would just sort of slow down the use a little bit. It's a very grey area.
We've got a climate pledge to be net zero by 2050 in the UK, and I think we're actually increasing our use of
we're opening more oil and gas fields. Anyway, let's not get political because we don't. So yeah, COP28 is it?
Yeah,
COP28. Yeah. What's next, Ava?
The Rwanda Bill.
Yes,
which
the
links
Rwanda
very
Bill.
heavily to this topic.
Almost why we're talking about it, isn't it?
Yeah.
And the Rwanda Bill was an idea by the UK government where, I think I mentioned it slightly.
I think we have touched on
because I mentioned the other one.
times.
The Rwanda Bill was agreed in after January the 1st, 2022. If you arrived on a boat across the channel, you were taken off, dried off, stuck on a plane, it was meant to be flown to Rwanda. One of the planes was on the runway about to take off, and then the Supreme Court said, no, this is illegal, because this violates human rights because Rwanda isn't a safe country. Whereas the UK, and now the UK's job now is trying to convince the Supreme Court that Rwanda is a safe country, which in some instances it is. There's been claims of not political unrest, but political corruption, because because some cases they're banning the opposing parties and stuff like that, throwing people in prison. But the Rwanda policy, they're trying to get it off the ground because their pledge is to reduce migration. Even since Brexit, migration's actually increased. So but it's because our humanitarian side, we're taking in people from Ukraine, taking in people from Hong Kong. So migration is on the increase, but it's the government's pledge to reduce migration, stop small boats. So it's an act of deterrent.
Yeah.
If you come into the UK, if you want to risk coming into the UK from on a small boat, you've got to know if you get caught, you're on a plane to Rwanda.
Yeah.
Now, if your asylum is accepted, I need to figure out and understand if you stay in Rwanda or if you get on a flight back
to the UK.
But I know if you go to Rwanda and I think you go through the Rwandan courts.
Yeah.
And then if it's not deemed that your asylum is granted, then I think you just get shipped back to the country where you've come from.
And so I was watching. I think we've had to send lots of lawyers over to Rwanda to try and help them get the infrastructure in place to be able to pass this bill through for it to be acceptable and stuff. So it's interesting. It's definitely controversial to say the least.
That's definitely the word to use.
There's a lot of people against it. There's people for it, but they had a big vote the other day, didn't they, in Parliament? So we will see. We'll see how that pans out, because there's sometimes when you get these human rights lawyers coming on the radio to give their viewpoint, you're like, all right, okay, this is quite a serious thing that we're aiming to do here. Yeah. So, okay, anything else?
The weather.
No, it is the geographical fact.
Geographical facts.
Who's doing it? Me or you?
I'll do it.
Yeah.
California has more people than Canada.
Say that again.
California, the state of California,
tiny little California,
has more people than Canada.
Than the whole of Canada.
So, Ava, what are our statistics there?
So Canada, right down the bottom corner,
it
it's got a number.
Am I saying it right? I'm saying it's 30. Canada's 35 million.
38.
Is it? 38 million.
Yeah, Canada's 38.85.
Yeah.
California is 39.
So Canada's 38.85 million people, and California is 39.
No, you just got 39. I couldn't be bothered.
Oh, just 39 million. So that's amazing that there's more people in California than Canada. Interesting. Okay, the weather. A beautiful sunrise this morning. What about football training yesterday morning?
Great pictures.
Oh my goodness, that was unreal.
And you scored a screamer against me.
Yeah, that was it. So so what's the weather saying, Ava? It's not a weather. It's not a weather forecast. It's not.
It's okay. It's like double digits.
What temperature?
Again?
Yeah.
That's madness.
We've got some
Weekend
CVs
will be
today,
12 and 11.
Clear blues. It's looking quite nice out there.
Yeah, the whole week is double digits, 10 at least.
Right, wow. Rain this weekend?
Not at the weekend.
What's the weather
a bit
like
cloudy.
with our staff do?
Tonight,
sunny and light winds.
Perfect. Right, okay. I think that's us done, is it? What time are we on, Ava?
28 minutes.
28 minutes. I'm going to be late
Slide
for
past.
Oh, wow, perfect. I can't be late for it. We've got our celebration assembly this morning for Year 9. So well done for what can only be described as quite a long term.
Yeah.
Okay.
5 weeks after Christmas Day.
5 weeks after half term. Brilliant. 5 weeks. Just like a month.
Yeah,
Fly by. Okay, well, thank you very much this morning, Ava, for your time. As always, thank you, sir.
Thank you very much,
have a lovely weekend, everybody. Stay safe. Click and subscribe. Tell your friends. And thank you very much.
It's not an advert, is it?
It's not even.
What's happening now?
Oh, no.
That's right. What's happening? Here we go.
There we go. Brilliant.